everybody. Hi, this is Christina Wooten from Sedona Medium, and I wanted to pop in today and answer one of the questions that I do get pretty frequently about spirit guides. So, I know we've been talking about guides quite a bit recently, and today one of the questions that comes up a lot is how do you know you're going to be safe? How do you know you're going to be protected when you first start reaching out in order to communicate with your spirit guides? And this is a perfect in a more strategic or more focused way. So that came up because it's this, gosh, I don't want to open up to everything. And no, you definitely don't. So we're putting this to rest today when we talk about what are the differences between ghosts and your spirit guides. So if you listen to one of our podcasts in the past for Modern Life and Spirit, we did an entire episode going in and talking about ghosts specifically, what they are, how they work. And one of the things I want to reiterate from that podcast, one of the little elements is talking about that our spirit guides and ghosts, or essentially those spirit beings who have not reintegrated into the spirit world, they exist on two different dimensions, two different planes. So when you're looking at ghosts, for example, if we were to think about it in a linear way, kind of like pancakes, okay? So we've got the earth plane, and then the next little pancake that would be on top would be the plane where we call it the middle world. So that's the area where ghosts and those types of things can exist. So very close because it's feeding off essentially still the earth energy instead of feeding into the spirit energy. And then beyond that is where the realms of spirit guides are in the upper world. So those are big difference dimensionality wise. Now to us, it seems like, well, all of it's happening up here, right? Even though it's not linear in that way. But they are two entirely different planes of existence. And you may wonder, okay, I'm having electrical phenomena, I'm having flashing lights, I'm having kind of clocks stop in weird ways. Maybe you're feeling, I used to get this a lot of feeling like somebody doing this in my hair, or you might get a sensation of someone touching your shoulder or, a little across your back. So those types of things, you might go, is this a guide? How do I know? So that's what we're talking about today. So I want to talk about three specific differences to just help you be solid in your understanding of ghosts and spirit guides. So one is changes in temperature. So if you're having an experience or you're in communication or you're having one of these, oh, I feel something touching my hair or something touching the side of my body. One of the big differences is that ghosts do have the tendency to pull out the temperature in the room. So you do get that sensation of it being cooler and maybe sometimes dramatically cooler. So if a entity is pulling energy from the surrounding environment in order to sustain itself, which has to be a lot of energy for it to sustain itself in general. The second element has to pull a lot of extra energy in order to manifest in some way. And so that manifestation would be whatever you're seeing, feeling, or experiencing. So it pulls that extra energy from temperature, sometimes from humidity, sometimes just from absorbing that extra heat and then being able to manifest that. You will not have that with a spirit guide because spirits are pulling, ones that are integrated into the spirit world, like your guides are, they're pulling from the energy of source as part of manifestation rather than relying on the earth plane itself. So that's going to be one big telltale. If you're suddenly, at the movie Signs, I think, and Haley Joel Osment's sitting there and he's like, the air is coming out of his mouth and he's all bundled up like freezing. If that's happening to you, that is not a spirit guide. And so that gives you a little bit of an indication that, okay, there might be something that I'm encountering here that needs to be looked at on a deeper level. So that's going to be the first indicator. The second indicator is, and this is a big one, is a foreboding feeling. So when you're communicating love, it's just the sensation of expanding, getting bigger, lifting up your vibration. And that always helps us to feel really, really, really good. It reminds us of being interconnected, of being bigger than we feel like we are sometimes walking around in these little bodies. It's this, oh yeah, I'm something greater. I'm some part of something that's, massive and infinite, and it's an incredible feeling. Now, when you're connecting, there's something that's low vibration, low frequency. So if you have a ghost sensation, or someone who's not an earthbound, someone who has not gone fully to the other side, there's this feeling of dread, and usually it's going to start at the pit of your stomach. I'm not alone, but I'm not alone in a good way. It brings a sense of panic. It brings a sense of, it's like your primal brain suddenly starts going, something's wrong. I can't see it. I don't know what it is, but something is in the room and I feel very uncomfortable. Now, if your guide is in the room, it's completely normal for you to pick that up, but you're not going to go, all the alerts aren't going off, something's wrong, this is scary, okay? So that scary sense, that feeling of, ooh, something's not good, that's a warning for you. And so that's, hey, we got something that's around that doesn't need to be here. And so that's another indication of something's going on, okay? Now, the third one that I want to talk about is other people being uncomfortable in the space too. So if you are in the room with someone and someone else also is in that, I don't know what it is, or maybe you have a home and you've made it in appearance just a very welcoming home, you're a very loving person, but for whatever reason, it's that one that nobody wants to sit in. You try and invite people over and everybody ends up in the kitchen or everybody ends up in this whole other small space instead of being in that one room. That can also be an indicator that something energetically is off in that space. Because if there is something going on in the home or something happening that's very connected with the earth plane, other people are going to feel that as well. So their alarm bells are going to be going off also. But again, like I said before, you shouldn't be having alarm bells with your spirit guides at all. You can definitely notice, oh, something's going on here, but not necessarily in the same way. I had one situation that I'll give you as just a distinguishing example is I was, when my son was really young, he was probably about 18 months, I was buckling him into a car seat. I was at the grocery store and I'm buckling him in, and of course it takes forever. And when someone walks up behind you and they're standing right behind you and you're just, I'm trying to buckle him in faster and faster. And of course, I'm fumbling around because now I'm like, oh, I got to get out of this way for this person who's trying to get in next to me because I could feel them right behind me. And I didn't feel fearful about it at all. I just thought, gosh, I'm being rude because I'm taking this long period of time. And of course, I get out to apologize, turn around, and no one's there. And I realized it was one of my guides giving me a little extra protection or a little extra support. Now, if I had been somewhere at home and suddenly alarm bells going off, that feeling of chill going out the back of your spine, or the feeling of where you're getting chill bumps, but not in a good way along the arms, those can also be indicators of something's going on. That's the time where you want to look a little bit deeper. You want to look at creating really strong energetic boundaries in your home. This is where you want to create. That we have here, hematite crystals can be really helpful. I don't want to get into all that. I just want to give you examples that these are very different entities and beings. And one thing that's very helpful is that when you are communicating with your spirit guides, is as you start to build that process in particular, you always have a protector guide, but as you develop more and more of your intuition, you gain additional guides to support that process, to just help you along in that growth and development. So one of those guides in particular also helps to protect your channel all the time. So you always have your protector guide, but now you develop a different guide as well that just helps to support and strengthen that channel. So energetically, you're never vulnerable to something coming into your body that you don't want to be there. You're not vulnerable to situations where you feel victimized by, oh gosh, all this information is coming to me that I really don't want it. Okay, so we have these elements in place. Your guides have these elements in place to help make sure that any communication you have with them is undisturbed, is protected, and has complete integrity throughout the entire process. So I wanted to just hopefully set your minds at ease a little bit that there are physical indicators when you're interacting with a ghost. There's also a lot of limitations that ghosts have in the ways that they can communicate because they have not integrated with spirit. They have a very limited capacity in energetics because they have to pull a lot of energy from the earth plane and surrounding environments to begin with to help maintain just their existence until they move forward into higher realms of spirit. And so it takes even more energy to pull from the environment in order to manifest or create something. So it's very, very limited, their capacity to express in a negative way or impact things in such a way where they would interrupt your channel, those types of things. So I'm going to just check in and see if you have questions about the differences between ghosts and spirit guides or that type of protection. I just want to make sure that everyone who has a question around that, is able to get an answer. So if you do, go ahead and put that in the comments and I'll be happy to answer that for you. And just keep in mind that your guides will always uplift, support, bring in positive energy around you. They're never going to be there to frighten or to create anxiety or stress. So when you're feeling a lot of those things, it's an indicator that you're feeling a little bit unsettled and something else may be going on as well. So it looks like I don't have any questions. So yay for you guys for being for being pros, and hopefully that means you got something from our live today. If you have not joined our mailing list, I'd love to just support you more in understanding about the spirit world, understanding and supporting you and how to communicate more with your spirit guides, or just help to answer some of the questions that you have. So you can find me at sedonamedium.com/mailing list. So that's sedonamedium.com/mailing list. And I'd love to be able to connect with you and just help you along your journey in empowerment for communicating with your spirit guides and understanding the spirit world. So thank you all so much for being with me, for joining. I'm just sending lots of love and affection your way and positive energy, and hope that you have a beautiful rest of your day.